Abaddon, the Despoiler, the War Master of Chaos, his name strikes fear into the hearts of the Imperium and stirs up fervent worship among his followers. But behind the fear and the ferocity, one question remains. What is his true goal? For more than 10,000 years, Abaddon has waged relentless war against the Imperium of Man, leading the Black Legion in a series of catastrophic campaigns known as the Black Crusades. But is he really trying to win? Or is there something deeper at play? Is Abaddon simply a maniacal warlord intent on conquering everything in sight? Or is he something far more dangerous? A being who is trying to break the game board itself? Unlike many of the Chaos Lords who lead their forces with a singular vision of conquest or destruction, Abaddon has always been shrouded in complexity. For those who follow him, he is a living legend, a figure that transcends the mundane concept of victory. His role within the warp, his relationship with the Chaos Gods, and his ultimate goals are all subjects of intense speculation. In a universe where empires rise and fall and gods themselves walk the realm of mortals, what does Abaddon truly seek? Is he the embodiment of pure destruction, or is he playing a far more intricate game with the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance? Over the course of his long existence, Abaddon has been a figure of monumental significance, one who, rather than seeking simple victory, has shattered entire worlds, broken legions, and dismantled the foundations of the Imperium with every step he takes. But the question still lingers. Is it all about winning? Or does Abaddon's true goal lie in the destruction of the very notion of what it means to win? The next few parts will dig deeper into Abaddon's history, his role within the forces of chaos, and the nature of his long, devastating war against the Imperium. We will examine whether his repeated Black Crusades are truly attempts to conquer, or whether they're something more. Tools used to destroy hope, to break the cycle, and to undo the order that has held the galaxy together for so long. Abaddon's rise to power is as much a story of legacy as it is a tale of ambition. Born as one of the sons of Horus, the once proud war master of the Imperium, Abaddon was thrust into a position of leadership following the betrayal of the traitor legions during the heresy. While Horus was the shining star, the tragic hero doomed to fall to the temptations of chaos, Abaddon was his right hand, his most trusted lieutenant, the one who carried out his commands with cold efficiency. After Horus's death, Abaddon inherited not just the mantle of leadership, but a legacy of chaos, destruction, and failed potential. Horus, the Emperor's favorite son, had once held the galaxy in the palm of his hand, poised to bring about the downfall of the Imperium. But his failure was catastrophic, not just for the traitors, but for the future of the Chaos Gods themselves. His death left a vacuum in the leadership of the traitor legions, a space into which Abaddon stepped with ruthless resolve. But while the fall of Horus left the traitor forces fractured and directionless, Abaddon was not content to let that defeat be the end of their war against the Imperium. Instead, he turned his eyes toward the future, his eyes toward the long game. From the moment he declared his first Black Crusade, it was clear that Abaddon's goals were more than just revenge. While some of his contemporaries might have been satisfied with the victory of their forces or the simple destruction of their enemies, Abaddon sought something more, something greater. He was not content with a single victory, but aimed for an ongoing war, a constant fracturing of the Imperium's fragile peace. For over 10,000 years, he has waged war not just as an invader, but as a disruptor. He has made the Imperium unstable, unsteady, always teetering on the brink of collapse, and in doing so, he has created an environment where no victory is truly secure. The Black Crusades are not just military campaigns, they are disruptions on a cosmic scale. Abaddon does not need to conquer the galaxy in a traditional sense. He needs to ensure that the galaxy can never truly be at peace again. His armies are like waves crashing against the shore, each campaign an attempt to wear down the foundations of the Imperium. It's not enough for Abaddon to defeat the Imperium once. He seeks to break its spirit, to make it constantly fight for its survival. His wars are not won in the conventional sense. They are drawn-out battles of attrition designed to bleed the Imperium dry over centuries. While many Chaos Lords operate with their own individual goals, whether it's the pursuit of power, personal glory, or fulfilling the whims of the Chaos Gods, Abaddon's campaign is different. His goal is not simple conquest, but the establishment of a new order, one that is inherently unstable, one that cannot be held together. To win would mean to defeat the Imperium, but to break the game board would mean to ensure that the Imperium can never be stable enough to win. Abaddon doesn't just seek to conquer. He seeks to make victory impossible for everyone involved. This is the depth of his strategy. He is not just a conqueror, but a destabilizer. His ultimate goal is not to wear the crown of the galaxy, but to scatter the pieces of that crown across the stars so that no one can ever wear it again. In this light, his rise to power becomes the first chapter of a much larger, far-reaching plan. Abaddon's war is a war of attrition, one that doesn't end in final victory, but in an endless, ever-turning wheel of conflict and destruction. The true tragedy is that for Abaddon, perhaps even for his own twisted view of things, victory would mean the end of his purpose. To win would mean the end of the game, but to break it, that is the only victory that truly matters. The Black Crusades are the pinnacle of Abaddon's destructive genius. While many would view them as simple military campaigns aimed at the conquest of the Imperium, they are, in fact, far more than that. Each crusade is a calculated act of disruption, a rippling effect across the galaxy designed to destabilize everything it touches. Abaddon does not seek to simply win. He seeks to unravel the very structure that holds the galaxy together. With each Black Crusade, he chips away at the foundation of the Imperium, pushing it to the brink of collapse, testing its resilience, and wearing down its spirit. The nature of the Black Crusades is key to understanding Abaddon's approach. Unlike the Heresy, which was a singular event with a clear end goal, Horus's ultimate betrayal and the fall of the Emperor, Abaddon's Black Crusades are not an all-or-nothing gamble. Each crusade is a step in a much longer, more insidious war, one that spreads destruction and despair over decades, centuries, and millennia. There is no definitive end to this campaign. The Imperium may win a battle, but it cannot win the war. Victory in one Black Crusade does not mean Abaddon's failure. Rather, it is a necessary step in his broader strategy. The Imperium may fight back, may even repel his forces for a time, but they cannot stop the inevitable cycle of conflict. Abaddon ensures that the war will never truly end. But what exactly is he fighting for? If Abaddon is not aiming for total domination in the traditional sense, what then does he want? His repeated crusades point to something far more abstract. A desire to break the game itself, the very idea of a final victory, a conclusion where one side is victorious and the other defeated, does not interest him. Abaddon's campaigns are not won or lost in the conventional sense. Instead, they are designed to drag the Imperium through an endless struggle, one that saps its strength, erodes its resolve, and ultimately breaks its will to fight. Abaddon is not a conqueror in the traditional sense. He does not seek to take the Imperium and rule over it, nor does he desire to replace the Emperor's order with his own. What Abaddon seeks is far more insidious. He seeks to ensure that the Imperium will never find peace, that the cycle of war will continue eternally, and that no side will ever truly win. He is not interested in the fleeting thrill of victory, but in the long-term destruction of the very idea of a lasting peace. His strategy is to ensure that the galaxy remains in a constant state of chaos, where hope and order are perpetually just out of reach. In a way, Abaddon's campaigns are a test of the Imperium's limits. Each Black Crusade is a challenge to the strength of the Imperium, a trial by fire that pushes the galaxy ever closer to the edge. The fact that the Imperium has not crumbled under the weight of Abaddon's war is a testament to its resilience, but it is also a reflection of the futility of the Imperium's resistance. For Abaddon, every victory by the Imperium only serves to reinforce the cycle. The more they fight, the more they expend their resources, the more they solidify the eternal war that has defined their existence for so long. In the end, Abaddon's true goal may not be conquest, but exhaustion, a war of attrition designed not to win, but to bleed the galaxy dry. This endless cycle of destruction and hope, crushed beneath the boot of chaos, is Abaddon's ultimate tool. Through the Black Crusades, he tests the very limits of what the Imperium can withstand. With each new assault, he pushes them further toward the breaking point. It is a war where there are no winners, only those who can survive a little longer before the inevitable collapse. And that, perhaps, is the point of it all. For Abaddon, the true victory is not in taking the galaxy. It's in ensuring that the galaxy can never truly heal. To break the game board, that is the prize, and the Imperium is the unknowing pawn in his grand, chaotic game. Abaddon's genius lies in this. By refusing to ever seek a final, conclusive victory, he has made himself an eternal presence in the galaxy. He is not bound by the need for victory in the traditional sense. His wars are not just military campaigns. They are the very fabric of the endless war. No matter how many times the Imperium repels him, no matter how many times they claim victory, they will never be able to break free from the cycle. This is Abaddon's true triumph. Not to win, but to ensure that there can never be an end to the conflict. Abaddon's relationship with chaos is not one of simple worship or blind servitude. While many of the Chaos Lords are bound to the whims of the ruinous powers, Abaddon's approach is far more strategic. From the very beginning, he has walked a fine line between being a tool of the Chaos Gods and seeking to manipulate them for his own ends. This relationship is complex and layered, as Abaddon understands the power of the Chaos Gods, but also knows their limitations. He is not a mere servant to their will, but a master of his own fate, a fact that sets him apart from many of his peers in the realms of chaos. In the early years following the heresy, when Abaddon took command of the traitor legions, his relationship with the Chaos Gods was one of necessity. The gods granted him power, and in return, he offered them his loyalty. Yet, as the years passed and Abaddon rose to prominence as the leader of the Black Legion, it became clear that his ambitions went beyond mere servitude. He was not content to be a pawn in the game of chaos. Instead, he aimed to be a player on his own terms. The Chaos Gods, for all their power, are driven by fickle whims, each one with its own agenda. Abaddon recognized this early on and used it to his advantage. Abaddon's relationship with each of the Chaos Gods is distinct. With Khorne, the blood god of war and bloodshed, Abaddon shares a mutual respect. His campaigns, brutal and relentless, align with Khorne's desire for endless bloodshed, and Abaddon's victories bring the god much-needed offerings. However, Abaddon's mind is too strategic to be fully consumed by Khorne's bloodlust. While Khorne revels in destruction, Abaddon knows that destruction alone is not enough. There must be purpose and lasting effect. As much as he shares in Khorne's lust for war, he does not let it blind him to the greater goal of disrupting the fabric of the galaxy. With Tzeentch, the Lord of Change and Manipulation, Abaddon shares a more complicated relationship. Tzeentch's ever-shifting plans and schemes are in many ways similar to Abaddon's own strategic approach. However, where Tzeentch thrives on uncertainty and trickery, Abaddon seeks stability and purpose. He recognizes Tzeentch's power but does not always trust in the god's labyrinthine plots. Abaddon's own desire for control clashes with Tzeentch's chaotic manipulation, and while the two may align when it suits Abaddon's goals, he is always cautious of Tzeentch's ever-changing plans. Slaanesh, the god of excess and pleasure, is another matter altogether. Abaddon has always been less concerned with the sensual indulgence that defines Slaanesh's domain. His desires lie not in the fleeting pleasures of the flesh, but in the deeper, more abstract desires of power, control, and the annihilation of the Imperium. However, Slaanesh's seductive influence has not gone unnoticed by Abaddon, and in moments of weakness or temptation, the allure of Slaanesh's gifts can be hard to resist. Nonetheless, Abaddon's ultimate aim is to dominate, not to indulge in the excesses of pleasure that Slaanesh offers. Finally, there is Nurgle, the Plague Father, whose influence is more insidious than overt. Nurgle's gifts of decay, resilience, and immortality have always been of interest to Abaddon, as they offer him a form of endurance that is necessary for his long-term plans. Nurgle's influence is subtle, providing the strength to continue when all else fails, but Abaddon's hatred of the Imperium and desire to see it fall makes him wary of the Plague Father's more sluggish approach. Abaddon prefers the speed of destruction, the direct violence of war, over the slow, inevitable decay that Nurgle embodies. In the end, Abaddon's true genius lies in his ability to use the Chaos Gods to his advantage, while never fully surrendering himself to them. He is not a simple follower or servant. He is a master of his own destiny, manipulating the Chaos Gods as much as they influence him. While the gods grant him power and guidance, Abaddon's own will is the driving force behind his actions. This makes him a unique figure in the realms of chaos, a leader who commands not only the loyalty of his followers, but also the attention of the gods themselves. His relationship with chaos is one of mutual benefit, but it is always on his own terms. Abaddon's war against the Imperium is not a simple contest of strength. It is a psychological battle on a cosmic scale. The key to understanding his influence and manipulation lies not in the sheer might of his armies, but in the way he plays with the minds of his enemies, allies, and followers. Abaddon is not merely a general. He is a master of psychological warfare, a manipulator who understands the power of fear, loyalty, and hope in shaping the outcome of any conflict. One of Abaddon's greatest strengths lies in his ability to inspire unwavering loyalty among his followers. The Black Legion, for all its chaotic nature, is bound to him in a way that transcends mere obedience. Abaddon has forged deep bonds with his warriors, cultivating a sense of purpose and belonging that goes beyond the typical relationship between a leader and his soldiers. His charisma is undeniable, and his ability to command respect is unmatched within the ranks of chaos. For his followers, Abaddon represents more than just a leader. He is a symbol of their ultimate goal, a beacon of hope in a universe defined by chaos and destruction. But this loyalty is not just a product of Abaddon's natural leadership. It is a calculated strategy. Abaddon understands the value of trust and fear in maintaining control over his forces. His followers are not just pawns on a battlefield. They are dedicated to his cause because they believe in it. Abaddon does not simply order his soldiers to fight. He inspires them, makes them feel as if they are part of something larger than themselves. This sense of purpose is what makes the Black Legion so dangerous. A legion not just of mindless warriors, but of fanatical zealots who are willing to sacrifice everything for their leader's vision. But Abaddon's manipulation extends beyond his own forces. His ability to strike fear into the heart of the Imperium is legendary. The very thought of Abaddon leading a Black Crusade sends waves of terror through the highest echelons of the Imperium. For the leaders of the Imperium, Abaddon represents a constant, looming threat, a shadow that never fades. He is not just a warlord, he is a symbol of the unyielding power of chaos, a force that cannot be defeated, no matter how hard the Imperium tries. The The fact that the Imperium has been unable to eliminate Abaddon after more than 10,000 years of war speaks volumes about the psychological toll he has taken on the galaxy. The Imperium is constantly forced to confront the reality that, no matter how many victories they achieve, Abaddon will always return, always find a way to destabilize their fragile peace. The nature of Abaddon's influence is not limited to fear, however. He also plays on the hope of his enemies, using it to undermine their resolve. The Imperium, ever hopeful that it can overcome the forces of chaos, often believes that it can strike the final blow against Abaddon, that it can win the war and restore order to the galaxy. Abaddon uses this hope to his advantage. Each time the Imperium believes it has gained the upper hand, Abaddon strikes back, showing them that their hope is futile, that the war will never end. By doing so, he keeps the Imperium in a constant state of anxiety, unable to focus on anything other than the endless cycle of conflict. This, in turn, weakens their resolve, leaving them vulnerable to future attacks. Perhaps the most dangerous aspect of Abaddon's psychological warfare is his ability to manipulate his enemies into making mistakes. The Imperium's leaders, while undoubtedly powerful, are often blinded by their own arrogance. They believe that their victory over chaos is inevitable, that they can outlast Abaddon's forces and eventually destroy the Black Legion. This overconfidence is exactly what Abaddon relies on. He encourages his enemies to underestimate him, to believe that they are in control, only to strike when they least expect it. The unpredictability of his actions, the way he seems to always be one step ahead, is what makes him so difficult to defeat. Abaddon has perfected the art of the psychological trap, using his enemies' own assumptions against them. In this way, Abaddon is not just a physical threat, but an existential one. He plays with the very concept of victory, turning it into a mirage that constantly shifts out of reach. For those who oppose him, there is no rest, no certainty of success. The war never ends, and the only certainty is that Abaddon will continue to twist the mental and emotional landscape of the galaxy, using fear and hope alike as tools in his endless quest to break the galaxy. For Abaddon, the game is not just about winning, it's about making sure that no one, not even the Imperium, can ever truly escape the cycle of war and despair. Abaddon's Black Crusades are not only wars of physical attrition, but also wars against the very concept of victory. The Chaos Lord is a man who does not measure success in the conquest of worlds or the destruction of armies. His goal is far more ambitious and far more insidious. Abaddon seeks to erode the very notion of triumph and defeat, to make victory and peace an impossible dream. But how does he achieve this? To understand Abaddon's true strategy, one must consider his long-term goals. Unlike the Emperor of Mankind, who sought to unite the galaxy under the banner of the Imperium, Abaddon has no desire to rule. He does not wish to sit on a throne in the heart of the galaxy, nor does he care for dominion over a single static realm. His goal is to ensure that no one can ever truly claim victory. The galaxy is not a chessboard where one side can ultimately checkmate the other. It is a game of endless struggle with no final resolution. This philosophy stems from the nature of chaos itself. The ruinous powers, with their ever-shifting goals, embody the chaos and uncertainty that define the 40K universe. For Abaddon, to accept a final victory is to betray the very nature of chaos. It would represent a kind of order, a conclusion where the tides of war settle and the winds of fate no longer blow with the same ferocity. And so, Abaddon has chosen to create a reality where no side can ever claim that kind of victory. In this, he does not just attack the Imperium directly. Instead, he targets its very foundation: hope. The Imperium's strength has always relied on the idea that the Emperor's dream of unity, of peace, and of human flourishing can one day be realized. Abaddon's crusades are designed to wear away at this hope, to make it clear that no matter how hard humanity struggles, they will never achieve that dream. The Imperium will never win. The chaos. Gods will never be defeated. The cycle of war and destruction will continue for all eternity. This is the heart of Abaddon's strategy: to break the galaxy, not by outright conquest, but by stripping away the very idea that victory is possible. His Black Crusades are not a means to an end, but a process that ensures the galaxy can never know peace, only conflict. Abaddon is not trying to take over the Imperium. He is trying to destroy it in a way that ensures it can never heal. He seeks to create a galaxy where all hope is dead, where every battle, every struggle, every victory is ultimately meaningless. In this sense, Abaddon is not just a warlord. He is a nihilist, a being who understands that the true power lies not in taking control, but in ensuring that no one can ever have control again. By perpetuating the endless cycle of war, Abaddon ensures that no side, whether it be the Imperium, the forces of chaos, or any other faction, will ever rise to a position of dominance. His war is one of eternal struggle, a war in which no side can ever truly claim the upper hand. In the end, the only winner in Abaddon's grand game is chaos itself, the endless, all-consuming force that devours everything and leaves nothing but the void. This is what makes Abaddon so dangerous. His goal is not to win in the traditional sense, but to make sure that no one can ever win again. The true destruction that Abaddon seeks is not in conquering worlds or slaying enemies. It lies in the creation of a universe where no victory is ever possible. By breaking the game board, he ensures that the war never ends, that hope never returns, and that no side can ever achieve the ultimate triumph. In a galaxy torn apart by endless war, Abaddon is the force that ensures the battle will never be over, that the bloodshed will never cease. For him, the greatest victory is the destruction of the very idea of victory itself. As Abaddon's crusade continues, there is a deeper, almost philosophical element to his actions that cannot be overlooked. Abaddon, the War Master of Chaos, embodies the perfect paradox of the 40K universe, a being who perpetually challenges the status quo, yet whose own existence ensures that the cycle of war and chaos remains unbroken. His ultimate goal, breaking the game board, is a tragic one because, in the end, he might not even fully understand what it means to achieve victory. His nature and his relationship with the forces of chaos has shaped him into a figure whose drive is to dominate not by conventional measures, but by erasing the very concept of success. Abaddon's role within the grand scheme of chaos is often misunderstood. While the Chaos Gods are beings of insatiable desire, each with their own pursuit for domination or excess, Abaddon stands as the tragic figure who both serves them and serves against them. His ability to manipulate the Chaos Gods to his own advantage sets him apart from his peers. While they each wish to conquer and consume, Abaddon wants to do something far more profound, to ensure that no one, whether within Chaos or the Imperium, can ever truly rise above the eternal struggle. Abaddon's war is not just against the Imperium, it's against hope itself, against the concept of closure, and ultimately against the very idea of a final end. In some ways, Abaddon is less a commander and more a harbinger of eternal conflict. Each of his Black Crusades is not a singular assault aimed at conquest. Instead, it is a constant escalation of tension, chaos, and fear. The Imperium, trapped in a state of endless vigilance, will never have the luxury of peace. This, in many ways, is the true victory that Abaddon seeks. To break the game board is to erase the very possibility of peace, stability, or closure. In doing so, he ensures that all players, Imperium, Chaos, Xenos, and more, are forced to participate in an endless game where nothing is ever truly won or lost. It is a game that plays with the psyche of every faction, drawing them deeper into the spiral of endless war, where victory is always fleeting and defeat is a matter of perspective. Abaddon's future, then, is one of infinite war. The greatest irony of all is that perhaps he doesn't desire the universe for himself. Instead, he is content in ensuring that no one can ever control it. Victory, in Abaddon's twisted view, is not a tangible achievement. It is the ability to perpetuate the struggle, to create an environment where no one, not even the Chaos Gods themselves, can ever truly reign supreme. In the grand chessboard of the 40K universe, Abaddon seeks not a single piece to dominate, but the entire game to remain forever in motion, with no checkmate in sight. Thus, his legacy will not be the rise of chaos, but the endless erosion of any hope for an end, and in that, he will always remain an unyielding presence. In a galaxy defined by its struggle, Abaddon's ultimate victory is not to conquer, it is to prevent anyone from ever conquering again. His endless wars ensure that no side can achieve lasting peace. No faction, no leader, no ideology can ever bring the galaxy to a state of resolution. This is his true triumph, to break the cycle of hope, to remove the idea of finality from the universe, and to create a never-ending game where the only constant is the war itself. Abaddon will never win in the conventional sense, but in ensuring that the fight will never stop, he guarantees that no one ever will. Abaddon's endless campaign against the Imperium, the Black Crusades, and his war for the soul of the galaxy have now spanned over 10,000 years. Through each of these campaigns, one thing has become clear. Abaddon is not merely a conqueror or a pawn of the Chaos Gods. No, he is something far more intricate, more dangerous. A master of perpetual warfare who has long since stopped aiming for final victory. But this raises an inevitable question. What happens when Abaddon achieves everything he seeks? What is the outcome of his tireless war against a galaxy that can never be destroyed entirely? What lies beyond the idea of victory? And perhaps most disturbingly, does he even understand what it would mean to win? The reality is that Abaddon's true goal is not conquest, not domination, not even destruction. His goal lies deeper, in the very fabric of existence itself. For all his outward aggression, he is a symbol of chaos at its most paradoxical. Abaddon's war against the Imperium is not an attempt to break it and take its place, nor is it about ruling the galaxy in any traditional sense. He does not care about the throne of Terra, nor does he want to bring down the Emperor's dream simply to seize the pieces for himself. What he seeks is far more insidious, to undermine the very idea of finality. Victory, for Abaddon, is not something that can be achieved through the conquest of a throne or by ruling over worlds. Victory, for him, is the impossibility of ever achieving peace. In this respect, Abaddon's ultimate ambition can be compared to the Chaos Gods themselves. They are beings of pure, ever-shifting emotion and impulse, ruling over forces of destruction, decay, excess, and change. None of them could ever be satisfied with peace, with the completion of a cycle. Abaddon, too, has taken on their nature, for he understands that the greatest gift chaos can offer is the unending cycle, where nothing ever remains static. Chaos, as a concept, is not one of finality. It is one of eternal change, destruction, and rebirth. For Abaddon, the chaos of endless war is the only true victory, for it ensures that nothing will ever be truly won. It ensures that no side, no matter how mighty, can ever come to rest on their laurels and bask in victory. This is where Abaddon differs from his fellow Chaos Lords. While others may serve the whims of the gods in exchange for power, Abaddon plays a different game. His entire existence is a rebellion against the very concept of victory itself. He is the ultimate embodiment of chaos's most profound contradiction, the desire to create change without ever allowing for a resolution. Even the gods themselves are bound by their own desires for dominance. Abaddon, however, seeks to transcend even that. He does not seek to be the ultimate ruler of the galaxy. Instead, he seeks to ensure that no one ever holds that title. He does not wish to conquer the Imperium. He wishes to ensure that the Imperium will never know the peace that it desires. It is important to consider the immense psychological impact that Abaddon's endless campaign has on the Imperium. Over the years, Abaddon has become the symbol of unyielding chaos, the personification of a threat that can never truly be destroyed. While the Imperium continues to fight back, throwing wave after wave of its greatest warriors against Abaddon's seemingly invincible legions, they have been worn down over time, not by a single defeat, but by the relentless psychological toll of knowing that victory is always out of reach. With each Black Crusade, each retreat and counterattack, the Imperium slowly loses its resolve. It is a slow death, not one of blood and fire, but one of an unceasing, draining war where no side ever triumphs. The Imperium, at its core, is founded upon hope, the belief that it can overcome any obstacle, even the forces of chaos. But Abaddon's eternal struggle has shattered that hope. The very idea of peace is slowly eroded by his ceaseless campaigns, and it is this destruction of hope that is the true weapon of Abaddon's crusades. He has made the galaxy weary, resigned to the fact that there will be no end, no resolution, no peace. He has broken their will, not through brute force alone, but through the creeping despair of knowing that nothing can ever truly end. Abaddon has become a metaphor for a universe locked in eternal conflict, where the very concept of a final victory is rendered meaningless. His war is not a conventional one. He does not fight to win in the traditional sense. He fights to break the very notion of winning. He fights to ensure that the game never ends. In many ways, Abaddon's war is a reflection of the endless cycle of war itself. There is no final battle. There is no end to this conflict. Every step he takes, every victory he claims, only leads to another round of war. In this, he embodies the very nature of chaos itself, an entity that knows no finality, no resolution, and no true end. For Abaddon, the greatest victory is not to conquer, but to ensure that nothing is ever conquered. No matter how many times the Imperium fights him back, no matter how many defeats he suffers, the war will never cease. Abaddon will never stop, for his victory lies in the very fact that there will always be another battle, there will always be another Black Crusade. And yet, as we look into the future, we see that Abaddon's war may not end in his own destruction, but in something far more disturbing: the final collapse of the Imperium itself. As the galaxy drifts toward its inevitable conclusion, Abaddon's eternal war will continue to burn like a cancer at the heart of humanity's greatest empire. His actions are no longer just the pursuit of victory. They are the confirmation that no victory is ever truly possible. In a galaxy filled with endless war, Abaddon stands as the eternal reminder that peace, stability, and hope are nothing more than illusions, dreams that cannot be realized. This is the ultimate horror of Abaddon's campaign. Not that he will conquer, but that he will keep the galaxy forever in its current state of struggle. He will ensure that no one ever rises to claim the title of victor. In the end, there will be no conclusion, no resolution, and no escape. For Abaddon, the game board itself is the only thing that matters. His legacy will not be the conquest of worlds, but the perpetuation of an eternal struggle, and in this, his true power lies. Not in victory, but in the endless, unyielding war that will forever be his gift to the galaxy. Abaddon's strategy, as we have seen, transcends mere conquest. His campaigns, his wars, and his relentless pursuit of chaos serve a deeper purpose than a simple desire to rule or dominate. In fact, Abaddon's greatest weapon is not his armies, his demonic allies, or his unyielding will. It is the manipulation of hope, belief, and faith itself. These concepts have long been central to the Imperium and its survival. The Emperor, despite his many flaws, built his empire on the belief that humanity could rise above its own limitations. Hope was his greatest weapon, and this is what Abaddon seeks to destroy. For if the Imperium's faith is shattered, then its foundation crumbles. And without that foundation, the galaxy becomes ripe for chaos to harvest. Abaddon's genius lies in his understanding that the Imperium's strength comes not from its military might, nor from its political structures, but from its belief in a better future. The Emperor's dream of unity, of peace, of mankind's ascension as the supreme power in the galaxy is what has sustained the Imperium through centuries of war, hardship, and endless conflict. Even in the darkest times, the Imperium clung to the idea that it could overcome the forces of chaos, the alien races, and the gods of the warp. This is the ideology that Abaddon has sought to tear apart. Through the Black Crusades, Abaddon does not merely aim to achieve military victories, though they come with their own value. He knows that victory in a traditional sense is fleeting. The true victory lies in the long-term psychological impact of his campaigns. By striking fear into the hearts of the Imperium and threatening the very foundation of their hope, Abaddon begins to erode the belief that their cause is just, that humanity's future can be realized in the Emperor's vision. With every Black Crusade, the Imperium is faced with the overwhelming reality that they are constantly under siege, and every victory they claim is only temporary. They cannot achieve peace. They cannot defeat chaos. The war will never end, and in that realization, Abaddon chips away at the Imperium's very soul. But Abaddon does not stop with the Imperium. He is fully aware that chaos itself is not unified in its desires. The Chaos Gods, while sharing a common goal of destruction, are each driven by their own whims, desires, and strategies. This fractious nature of the warp is both a strength and a weakness. Abaddon, though, does not view himself as a mere tool of the ruinous powers. In his mind, he is their equal, perhaps even their superior. Abaddon uses the Chaos Gods, yes, but he does not worship them in the traditional sense. Instead, he sees them as pawns in his own larger game. His ultimate goal is to transcend the influence of the gods themselves. This is a bold and dangerous path, as chaos cannot exist without the influence of its gods. Abaddon's manipulation of the gods is one of the key aspects of his strategy. By aligning himself with their forces, he gains power and influence, but he does so in a way that makes it clear he is always in control. Abaddon's goal is to position himself as the one true force of chaos, not one of many voices in the chaotic chorus, but the master of it all. This ambition places him at odds with other powerful figures within the realms of chaos, like the self-serving ambitions of Lorgar or the mind games of Tzeentch's schemes. But Abaddon is not a follower, even of the gods. He is their equal and potentially their master. For Abaddon, the ultimate game is not about conquest of the Imperium, nor is it about achieving the favor of the Chaos Gods. His true goal is something far more cosmic, more grand. His ambition is to create a universe where nothing, no force, no empire, no ideology, can ever rise above the eternal chaos. He wants to strip away any illusions of order, to break the idea of ultimate victory. He wants to make certain that no one, not even the Emperor, can ever achieve their vision of a completed galaxy. The cycle of war must continue, and all attempts at peace or stability must be crushed beneath the weight of eternal conflict. In this sense, Abaddon is not just a warlord or even a servant of chaos. He is a harbinger of a new era, one where the cycle of war and destruction is not only accepted but worshipped as the natural state of the galaxy. He does not seek to build a new empire, nor does he seek to destroy the Imperium for the sake of destruction itself. He wants to ensure that the galaxy can never be settled. The forces of chaos, under his guidance, will keep the galaxy in a constant state of flux, never allowing any one force to establish dominance. The future, in Abaddon's eyes, is not about ruling or conquering. It is about ensuring that no one ever wins. There can be no emperor, no unified Imperium. no final peace. This is the world Abaddon seeks to create, and in this world, he will be the eternal force of conflict, forever perpetuating the war that will never end. No faction will ever find victory. No leader will ever be able to rest. The galaxy will remain in constant turmoil, and Abaddon will be the unyielding force that ensures it stays that way. This is the ultimate tragedy of Abaddon's ambition. In his quest to break the game board, he has become the embodiment of the very thing he seeks to avoid, an unchanging, eternal state of war. The future of the galaxy will not be a peaceful one. The Imperium, despite its many flaws, has always clung to the idea of a better future, a unified mankind standing at the top of the galaxy. Abaddon's war will ensure that this dream can never come to fruition. He will create a galaxy where nothing ever ends, where there is no peace, and where no victory is ever truly achieved. For Abaddon, the ultimate victory is not the conquest of the galaxy. It is the creation of a reality where the galaxy can never rest. Abaddon's existence is defined by one overwhelming truth: the war will never end. His role as the War Master of Chaos is not one of fleeting conquests or singular battles. Instead, he is a perpetual force, one who ensures the galaxy remains locked in a constant state of struggle where no peace is ever possible. Victory, for Abaddon, is not about achieving the conquest of the galaxy or even the destruction of the Imperium. It is about ensuring that no one ever wins, that the cycle of war and despair is eternal. In many ways, Abaddon's war is not simply a rebellion against the Imperium, but a war against the very concept of finality itself. Unlike the other Chaos Lords who seek to conquer, control, or dominate, Abaddon has transcended the traditional goal of rulership. His campaigns are not merely about victory in the conventional sense, but about the continuous unraveling of the galaxy's hopes and dreams. The Imperium, for all its might, has always been driven by the belief that it can overcome the forces of chaos, that it can push back the darkness and restore order. For Abaddon, the most dangerous weapon in his arsenal is not his armies, but the slow erosion of this belief. His goal is to destroy the very idea of a final victory, to prove that no matter how hard humanity fights, it can never escape the grip of chaos. The strength of the Imperium has always been its belief. Despite its many flaws, its countless failings, and the constant war that tears it apart, the Imperium has always clung to the notion that it is the beacon of humanity's potential. The Emperor's vision was one of unity, of humanity's triumph over the stars, of a galaxy bound together in peace and strength. But Abaddon knows the truth, that this vision is a lie. The Imperium, for all its might, can never escape the forces of chaos, and Abaddon's Black Crusades are designed to prove this. Each campaign, each assault on the Imperium's heart, is a reminder that no matter how many victories the Imperium claims, it will always be pushed back into chaos. It will always be forced to fight again. Abaddon does not care about ruling Terra or sitting on a throne. What he seeks is the slow, grinding death of the hope that sustains the Imperium. Abaddon's eternal war is not just about fighting for chaos. It is about ensuring that no one can ever escape the cycle. He is not merely a servant of the Chaos Gods. He is a tool for the gods, yes, but also a master of the game. By perpetuating endless conflict, Abaddon keeps the galaxy in a state of flux, where no power can ever truly take control. He does not want to see the Imperium destroyed outright. Rather, he wants to see it slowly decay, to watch as the belief in a better future fades away. The Black Crusades are his vehicle for this decay, his way of showing the Imperium that it can never escape the darkness. Even if they win a battle, even if they push back his forces, the war will always return. The cycle is unbreakable. For Abaddon, there is no endgame. The concept of a final victory is foreign to him. Where other warlords might desire the throne of Terra, Abaddon's goals lie in a much more abstract realm. He wants to break the concept of finality, whether it is a final victory, a final defeat, or even the promise of peace. By ensuring that the war never ends, Abaddon makes it impossible for anyone to declare themselves the victor. The Imperium may have moments of triumph, but they will always be fleeting. Chaos may find moments of strength, but they will never truly rule. For Abaddon, the greatest victory is not the defeat of an enemy, but the perpetuation of the endless struggle. This relentless pursuit of eternal war has deep consequences for both sides. The Imperium, driven by its core belief that it can overcome the forces of chaos, is doomed to a cycle of endless conflict. Every victory it claims is only temporary, and every defeat it suffers drives it further into despair. The battle-weary soldiers of the Imperium fight with the knowledge that their struggle may never end. They do so not because they believe in an eventual victory, but because they must. Because the cycle demands it, Abaddon's genius lies in his ability to make them fight without hope, to strip them of the idea that one day they might defeat him, that the galaxy might return to a state of peace. Abaddon's role, then, is not just as a warlord or leader of chaos. It is as a force of cosmic inevitability. He is the agent of the great wheel of war, the one who ensures that the galaxy will never know peace. His war is not against a specific foe. It is against the very idea that peace and stability are possible. For him, the greatest victory is the destruction of hope itself. The Imperium's greatest strength has always been its belief in the future, in the Emperor's dream. But Abaddon has shown them that this belief is nothing more than an illusion, a lie that must be shattered. And so the cycle continues. The Black Crusades will never cease. Abaddon will always return, always find new ways to destabilize the Imperium and create chaos. And in this endless war, no side will ever truly emerge victorious. The galaxy will remain locked in an eternal struggle where the only certainty is conflict. And in that conflict, Abaddon will remain the eternal force, the one who ensures that no one can ever truly claim victory, the one who breaks the game board and leaves it in a constant state of flux. Abaddon's ultimate victory is not in ruling the galaxy. It is in the destruction of the very idea of final victory itself. His legacy will be the endless war, the perpetual struggle, where no side can ever rest and no force can ever dominate. In a galaxy defined by strife, Abaddon will remain the unyielding presence that ensures the war will never end. Abaddon, the despoiler, has long been considered the face of chaos, an eternal antagonist to the Imperium, a symbol of corruption, war, and the unyielding forces of destruction. Yet, for all his destructive power, Abaddon's true genius lies in something far more profound: his ability to ensure that the war will never end. He is not merely a conqueror or a general. Abaddon's ultimate strategy is to break the very concept of victory itself, to make certain that no one, not even the Imperium, can ever lay claim to an end, a conclusion, or a future without conflict. For the Imperium, the very idea of a final victory has been the driving force behind their constant struggle. Humanity's greatest hope has always been the belief that the Emperor's vision of a unified mankind standing at the top of the galaxy, free from the tyranny of the gods and the threat of chaos, could someday be realized. It is this vision, more than any material strength or military might, that has driven humanity to endure the horrors of war for millennia. But Abaddon, in his wisdom and his manipulation of the forces of chaos, has sought to dismantle this belief. For him, the ultimate goal is to break humanity's resolve and strip away the belief that victory is even possible. With each Black Crusade, Abaddon does not merely wage war. He wages war against the very idea of peace. The Imperium may have its victories, its moments of glory, but they are always fleeting, always temporary. Each time the Imperium believes it has won, Abaddon ensures that the cycle of war continues. This is the true brilliance of his strategy. He does not need to conquer the galaxy or destroy the Imperium outright. He needs only to make it clear that no victory is ever permanent. He seeks to create a galaxy where no side can ever truly emerge victorious, where the very idea of a lasting peace is an illusion that will never be realized. This eternal conflict is not simply a tool for Abaddon to wield. It is the only reality he understands. He is a master of the endless cycle of war, a creature whose existence is inextricably tied to conflict. And it is through this endless war that Abaddon ensures that the galaxy will remain in a state of flux, never allowing any one faction to dominate or control. The Imperium, despite its immense power, cannot ever find true peace, because the very moment it begins to hope for an end to the conflict, Abaddon strikes again, pushing them back into the abyss of war and chaos. In this way, Abaddon serves as the eternal reminder that no matter how hard humanity fights, no matter how many battles it wins, it can never escape the grasp of chaos. But Abaddon's war does not only affect the Imperium. His influence reaches across the entire galaxy, touching every faction, every empire, and every ideology. Chaos, while often seen as a singular force, is a fractured, multifaceted entity. The gods of chaos each have their own desires, their own motivations, and their own strategies. Khorne craves bloodshed, Tzeentch manipulates the threads of fate, Nurgle spreads decay, and Slaanesh revels in excess. Abaddon, however, has never been content to serve them in a subservient role. He is a player in the great game, not a pawn. He has long recognized that the forces of chaos are often in disarray, each god vying for power, each seeking to advance its own agenda. Abaddon, ever the pragmatist, uses this disunity to his advantage. Rather than worshipping the chaos gods in a traditional sense, Abaddon plays them against each other, manipulating their desires and using their influence to further his own agenda. He understands that in the end, chaos is not a unified force. It is a force of change, of discord, of constant upheaval. And so Abaddon positions himself as the one who controls this chaos. He is not simply a follower. He is a leader within the warp, using the powers of the gods to fuel his own ambitions. In this way, he stands above the chaos gods themselves, the one who can bend their will to his own designs. Abaddon's ultimate aim, however, is not to serve the gods, but to transcend them. He has long realized that the chaos gods are limited by their own desires and their own natures. They cannot move beyond their intrinsic goals. Khorne will always crave bloodshed, Tzeentch will always seek to manipulate fate, and so on. But Abaddon, in his strategic brilliance, understands that true power lies not in following these desires, but in controlling them. He seeks to become the embodiment of chaos itself, not merely a servant or a tool, but the one who dictates the terms of existence. Through his endless wars, he will reshape the galaxy, not in the image of the gods, but in his own image. This is where Abaddon's true ambition lies, in creating a universe where chaos reigns eternally, where no order can ever be established, and where no side can ever emerge as the victor. His wars are not meant to be won. They are meant to ensure that the fight never ends. In this endless struggle, Abaddon sees the ultimate truth of existence, that all things must be in constant flux, that no peace can ever exist, and that the only way to achieve true dominance is to ensure that no one can ever achieve victory. For Abaddon, the war is not just a game. It is the only reality, the only truth, and the only future. The Imperium, for all its strength and power, will never know peace. It will never know victory. Chaos will never be defeated, and in this eternal struggle, Abaddon will remain the unyielding force, the one who ensures that the galaxy will never know anything but war. His legacy, if one can call it that, is the galaxy's eternal dance on the edge of despair, a realm where victory is always elusive and where the struggle itself becomes the only meaning. For Abaddon, to break the game board is the ultimate form of control.